First is call to order. I would like to call the June 26, 2023 Workforce Readiness and Livable Communities Council Committee meeting to order. Members of the public may attend the meeting virtually through Microsoft Office or view the meeting recording by visiting tempe.gov/WRLC for more information. It's important to understand that no formal votes or decisions about city programs, policies, or budgets will happen here. Our role is to explore various topics with staff and stakeholders and community members and make recommendations to our council colleagues. We want this process to be transparent, inclusive, and easy for you to be a part of however you choose to be. And you can share your thoughts with us by filling out a comment card about any item on the meeting agenda by reaching out to us directly with any other thoughts, questions, or ideas. You need to fill out a comment card in advance that can be read into the record for an agendized item. The link to the comment cards can be found on our committee webpage, tempe.gov/WRLC, and you'll also find contact information for committee members and staff there for non-agendized questions as well. That brings us to item 2, review in the minutes. We'll now review the April 24th WRLC committee meeting minutes with Council Member Hodge. Do you have a motion to approve the April 24th, 2023 meeting minutes?
Yes. I move to approve the April 24th, 2023 Rec Committee meeting minutes.
All right, I'll second that motion, and the meetings are approved. Move on to item number 3, public comments. The WRLC committee welcomes public comment. According to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the committee may only discuss matters listed on the agenda. Matters brought up by the public under public appearances that are not listed on the agenda cannot be discussed by the committee. A 3-minute time limit per person will be in effect. Annie, do we have any public comments?
No, we do not, Councilmember Keating.
Thank you very much. Moving on then to item 4, committee session items. Next, I'd like to move to our current items and updates. Today, we have 4 presentations. The first presentation is from the City of Tempe on an ordinance that would prevent source of income discrimination in housing. We are joined by Irma Hollaby Kane and the Community Health and Human Services Director, Health and Human Services Department, Dr. Valicia Humes from the Office of Diversity, and Clarence Matheson Jr. from the Tempe City Attorney's Office. Thank you for joining us at today's committee meeting.
Good afternoon, council members Keating and Hodge. My name is Irma Hollenby Kane, and I am joined here today by my colleague Clarence Matheson Jr. We're here to, at your request, to discuss source of income protections. So we're going to provide you some basic information about source of income, such as its definition, types of income that we're speaking of, and we'll discuss source of income discrimination and its effects, and why protection should be considered by the City of Tempe. We'll provide information about how the cities of Phoenix and Tucson have implemented their recently enacted source of income protections, and finally, we'll recommend ordinance language for this committee's consideration. So I'm not going to read this definition, but instead just tell you that source of income is really any lawful and verifiable source of income or housing supports an individual or family receives. The types of income are varied, and they're listed, many of them are listed here on this slide. It includes everything from regular wages and salary to child and spousal support to housing choice vouchers, foster care subsidies and veterans benefits, etc. So it basically, source of income discrimination refers to the practice of refusing to rent to an applicant because of their lawful form of income. Typically, this involves the denial of housing based on the applicant relying on a housing voucher, disability benefits, Social Security benefits, etc. So one would most commonly see this in advertisements or statements made by a landlord or property manager that they do not accept rental assistance or other forms of lawful income. So why should protections be considered? Currently, there are no protections for individuals to pay rent with disability benefits, veteran benefits, et cetera, and other various government-funded benefits and rental assistance programs like the Housing Choice Voucher Program. The Housing Choice Voucher Program participants are finding it particularly difficult to secure housing in Tempe. It's a voucher, if a voucher recipient cannot locate housing after a period of time, the voucher is reallocated to another applicant. So there is a time-basedness to receiving a housing voucher and being able to lease up in the community and being told over and over again, we do not accept Section 8, as you can imagine, is disheartening, and it leaves a lot of families in the lurch.
So when we talk about a potential ordinance for here in the city of Tempe, what we're looking at is amending the housing code. We already have a fair housing code in Chapter 22 of the Tempe City Code. And so what we would be looking at is amending that city code, that provision, and adding a source of income as a reason why somebody could not be discriminated against, either in housing or either in rental of housing or the sale of housing. So that's what we've looked at amending Chapter 22. And then we would also have to look at amending Chapter 2, which is the enforcement section of the Tempe City Code that enforces the fair housing provisions now. So we would amend that again to include the source of income as a reason why someone could not be discriminated against within the city of Tempe. And we have looked at other cities who have recently enacted some of these same types of protections. City of Phoenix also has a similar protection. They actually have an equal employment opportunity department, and they have actually contracted with Housing and Urban Development, the Federal Housing and Urban Development, to enforce some of their provisions. We are looking into it now as to how the City of Phoenix's enforcement, how it's working, whether or not they've had any complaints, if they've been able to investigate those, and how it's gone through their process. We also have looked at the city of Tucson, which has recently enacted a similar ordinance. They actually, they do their enforcement through their own equal opportunity office of the city manager's office, which is similar to what the city of Tempe currently has. And they would look at those violations to see if there has been an actual violation and in any enforcement. And normally they look to hopefully remedy those issues or situations with conciliation agreements with the potential violator, so they can correct that violation and have that the person be able to rent or sell the house without those violations. So so currently, again, we are in the process of drafting an ordinance. We do have a draft ordinance that we will present to the council if that's the committee's preference moving forward. And we would just pause now for any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased at how fast we're able to bring this to fruition. As soon as Phoenix passed theirs, that's something I wanted to take a look at and get us working on. My question would be, we would have to have a public process though first, right? We have to have a stakeholder and public process before we can bring an ordinance to the council?
We should have a public process. We should discuss this, introduce it to the public to allow public comment, yes.
Okay, so can we do that during the month of July and make sure to reach out to stakeholders as well, and then bring it back to the council for consideration, I guess in August or September?
Definitely sometime in the fall, early fall, we could definitely have it before the council for their consideration.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to make sure that we're following the council policies as making sure that we have a public and stakeholder process before it's introduced to the council at whole. But certainly after those are completed, I'd be very interested in bringing it to the full council for its consideration. Councilmember Hodge?
Yes, I am in full agreement. I'm excited actually for this because this is something that's well needed. And as Tempe, we've always been pioneers, and I am glad we're continuing that process. And I feel the same way. I think that if we did the work up to it in the summer months while we're out, we can have something by early fall to bring to the council. So yes, I'm definitely in improvements of that. Thank you. And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Councilmember Hodge. No, I'm really excited for this. I think it is needed. I think it's something that we can do around the edges that will certainly help housing availability in our city, and certainly aligns with our values and strategic priorities. So did we have anything from the diversity office on this, or So I know they drafted the ordinance is all I'm saying. If we don't have somebody here to speak to that, then that's okay too. I was just curious if we had any other information to be presented.
Not at this meeting today, council member.
No.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any further questions. I really appreciate the work that you've done on this, and I'm excited to go ahead and move this forward. Councilmember Hodge, you have anything else on this item?
No, I'm excited too to move it forward. So yes.
Councilmember Keating, I'm just going to jump in really quick. We actually do have a public comment, someone who showed up today to speak about this specifically. If we can quickly pivot to do that before our next presentation.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Sorry, I wasn't aware. Yes,
No, it's
please.
okay. They just arrived, Carla, if you want to come on up. Thank you. And thank you both.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Annie, for letting me hop on to speak a little bit. Thank you, committee, Councilmember Hodge, Councilmember Keating. I wanted to speak a little bit about some of the language and concerns that we have around potentially drafting a similar source of income ordinance. So hello, to introduce myself, my name is Carla Naranjo. I'm the campaign coordinator for Unemployed Workers United. I am speaking today in support of the City of Tempe passing an ordinance that would prohibit source of income housing discrimination. Unemployed Workers United, we are a over 15,000 member organization across Phoenix, Arizona alone that works to organize around specifically housing protections for low-income workers in the state. So on March 1st, UWU was actually able to bring about over 60 community members out to the Phoenix City Council chambers to pass this ordinance and make a tangible first effort to address the housing crisis and to be able to protect tenants that are utilizing public assistance, including housing vouchers, but this would also include Social Security, unemployment benefits, any sort of public use assistance. So after the ordinance went into effect on April 6th, we have been working directly with community members, some who have been able to join, thankfully. We got lost finding the chambers, but we have been working with over 100 community members to help file fair housing cases with the city's Equal Opportunity Office. We have been in communication with the Equal Opportunity Office in the city of Phoenix to see if there were any issues with implementation or enforcement that we could potentially address as other ordinances are being passed or being introduced in other cities, like the city of Tempe. So an issue that we were finding ourselves facing, and I think some of the other community members that were able to join us would be able to bring more to light, is the fact that the existing ordinance that is on the books in Phoenix, I cannot speak to certainty what the language in Tucson is, but I presume it's very similar. The language as it exists does not clarify or have any guidance for minimum income requirements, meaning that the way that the fair housing laws are amended currently, it only says that you cannot discriminate against someone based on source of income and where they get their money and how they pay for rent. That being said, we're still finding scenarios where the law isn't fully clarified, where landlords can still, under the new amended fair housing laws at the city of Phoenix, we are still finding that landlords can provide another barrier for folks who utilize public assistance by saying that you have to make 3 times the amount of rent, or sometimes even 4 times the amount of rent. When we're looking at applicants who are on public assistance, they're usually on a fixed income, so they cannot come up with 2-3 times the amount of rent that are required for some of these properties. So we're hoping that Tempe will be able to clarify this a little bit while they're drafting the language, to see how we can make it possible for landlords to remove this barrier and say that they can't provide minimum income requirements if they're accepting those applicants, and hopefully be able to strengthen the current ordinance. And happy to work, and thank you for the presentation from the city, and hopefully we can work to make this language a little bit stronger, because the way it's currently written, the ordinance is currently written at the city of Phoenix, it doesn't address it at all, and this is an issue that's been facing some of the community members that we have been working with. And this is just from since the ordinance went live April 6th that this issue has been coming up. So we definitely wanted to bring it to the attention of the committee, especially before it goes on to a full council vote, and also look forward to being a part of the further public process to provide more comment and feedback on this ordinance. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm certainly happy to ask staff to work with you on those concerns and see if there's anything that they can be done to strengthen that language. I mean, I don't know about the legality, if it's feasible, but staff will. So I would definitely ask staff to work with you on that and see what can be done around that issue before we move forward with a full ordinance to the council.
Councilmember Keating, we have a few cards, so we're gonna go through
Oh,
and
do we?
let them read.
Oh,
So
okay.
just give us a second.
Sure.
Sebastian? Okay.
And you have 3 minutes.
Is there a timer anywhere?
Yes, she's doing a timer right there.
Oh, there's a little timer right here. Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. Hi, Councilmember Hodge. Thank you for proposing this. We're really excited that Tempe is looking forward to, putting this forward for the city. I'm a city resident, and we fought really hard earlier this spring, to propose this in Phoenix. And out of that organizing came a lot of different stories and a lot of different struggles of folks on fixed incomes, folks that are under public housing programs, folks that were receiving different kinds of public assistance, like emergency rental assistance, veteran vouchers, just so many different stories of people having the money in their hands and the possibility to either find a new home, get off the streets, or keep off the streets, especially when it came to getting emergency rental assistance, and being denied, right, over and over and over. And we saw that not having this ordinance in place when we had a housing crisis really negatively impacted things in every single city, right? Even here in Tempe, we have a lot of issues when it comes to housing and homelessness. And so this is one ordinance and one action that we can take to strengthen and expand fair housing laws. And just, I think maybe like 2 weeks ago, I talked with a resident. She actually lives in Phoenix, but she was trying to find Section 8 housing in Tempe. And she was turned away because they weren't taking Section 8. And they also told her that she didn't qualify because of how much income she has. And we know this ordinance in other places like Tucson, Phoenix, and in other states can, one, ensure that people have the ability and a chance to apply to anywhere that they like. And also, if guidance is put out properly and the language is strong, we know that the rule of making 2 or 3 times the rent for folks on public assistance would only be applied to the portion that they pay, not the entire market rent, because it doesn't make sense to ask someone in public assistance to make $6,000 when they clearly are only paying $500, $600 in rent. So this is something that's super needed, and we're very happy that Tempe is moving forward, having the conversation, and ready to protect their residents. And so we definitely brought some folks that were involved with us in getting it passed in Phoenix, and I'm excited for you to hear their stories and how it's impacted them. So yeah, thank you, and yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. We have just a couple more. Catherine?
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Oh, thank you. There we go. Being short. Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Wilkins. I come to you with a great passion. Latter part of this year, I was put out of my apartment. I am 63 years young. I'm disabled. I worked for law enforcement for over 10 years. I have been on case manager, youth correctional officer, probation officer. And so I've worked over 40 years. And as I came to be in the apartment that I was in, the over 55 apartment, I was there for 2 years. And each year they raised my rent. It was reasonable, but the last time they came up with $300, they were going to raise it because my apartment was right by the pool. I was not the only one that they decided that they were going to raise the rent on. They came up with, well, you have to make 2 to 3 times more than the rent that we're getting ready to raise. And I'm like, that's crazy. I said, how do you expect me to live and raise the rent? The rent was already $1,000, so they were going to raise it up to $1,300 for a 400 square foot apartment. This was just bullied me into having to find another place. If it hadn't been for my daughter, I would be on the streets, to be absolutely honest with you. We had to split the rent. I see over 9,000 people homeless every month on the streets. And that's why I come to you to pass this ordinance, because it's so important. I'm so passionate about it, to be so close to live check, not because out there blowing money or spending money frivolously, but because living paycheck to paycheck because of the way they're able to word raising the rent or word of how much you have to have in order to live there. My place was right by the pool, so my understanding from the manager is that they raised the rent to $1,600. There's no way I could pay that, as you probably heard from many other people, to be able to pay that. Not to mention food, medical, whatever have you, transportation. You know, to live in this country is to be able to live comfortably, not rich, just comfortable. And you see, there are a lot of people that are homeless that don't want to be homeless. They do want to have a place to stay. You know, they don't want to be out there on the heat. Is that my time? Okay. Okay. Well, the main thing, ma'am, that I want to just pass on is that this can happen to anyone in your family. It can happen to anyone. And if we don't fight for this, then what are we doing? So I thank you for listening to me. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then just one more from Danielle.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Danielle Witchard, and I'm here with United Employee Workers to get this ordinance passed because it's just a shame. I've been in Arizona 8 years. I'm originally from Ohio, and I came here for opportunity and everything but to be just denied housing because you're on a Section 8 voucher or you can't make 3 times the worth of the rent. If I can make 3 times worth of the rent, for an apartment, I mean, I would really want to live in a house if I can make 3 times worth of the rent. No, but this needs to be really passed because it's just the homelessness is just terrible out here and everything. I've never seen anything like this in my life, though. But I have a passion because I am a peer ports person, and people need people, and we need people, and this needs to be passed. This really needs to be passed, not just locally. I mean, I know y'all can only do local, but nationwide, because homelessness is not, we don't pay taxes and be American. We talk about how it's a good thing to be American and everything or whatever, and we have other people trying to come here to be a part of America, though, but to be out there on the streets is just a pity. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is that our last one?
Yes, thank you. That concludes our public comments.
Thank you for everyone who spoke tonight. And we will pass that on to the committee, as Councilmember Keating just said.
Absolutely. So now we have our, I'm trying to find the agenda here. Excuse me one second.
But it's next is our second on our presentation, which will be made by Michelle Gonaldi from Tempe Elementary School District Number 3. Ms. Gonaldi will provide us with a brief recap of 2022-2023 academic year for the school district. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Michelle Grimaldi. I work for Tempe Elementary School District. I'm here presenting on behalf of Dr. Driscoll. So we've had a great school year in Tempe. As you remember, we have begun our strategic plan with 5 different components. Real briefly, I'll remind you of the components. 1 was to recruit and retain dedicated and highly qualified staff. The second component was to maximize student growth and achievement. The third component was to increase student enrollment. The fourth was to implement systems and create systems that are pertinent to today's workforce for students and hold those systems accountable. The fifth component and final one is holding staff accountable for fostering a positive, inclusive environment in our schools. You'll hear for the next school year sort of an organizational restructuring. Typically, you have human resources, you have social services, and they work in separate silos in the education system. So we'll be embarking on an organizational structure that is enterprises. The first enterprise will be community confidence enterprise. The second will be employee experience enterprise. The third will be student success enterprise. The fourth will be innovative enterprise. And the final is our governing board that keeps us all together. Each one of these enterprises works in tandem with each other, and more to come on that, and more clarity to come on that. I am very pleased to mention that we are expanding preschool opportunities by opening a full-time kinder prep class for 4-year-olds at Nevitt, Frank, and Rover. We will continue to offer our 11 Tempe pre-classrooms, a Montessori preschool option, and a developmental preschool option. These are so important. We will be expanding our gifted education by opening a 5th grade class for the 23-24 school year. Our gifted education program, known as Aspire Academy, will service our 4th and 5th grade students at Arredondo Elementary and our 6th through 8th grade students at Conley Middle School. To report on staff and training, our goal is to ensure that our schools and departments are staffed with the most talented and best educators possible and employees possible. We are focused on providing staff development to every single staff member in the district. This includes our groundskeepers, our bus drivers, our office assistants, our teachers, our coaches, our principals, etc. We will be doing that by holding specific GAP days in our district. GAP days are the days that all of our professionals will be getting professional development in their area. We are also reframing our job descriptions to match the duties and responsibilities needed to perform the job. We're using multiple data points and some personality strength scales so that we truly get employees that are prepared for the job in our district. All right. Final update is on partnerships, which I feel most confident talking about. We want our community to know what Tempe is up to. We want them to know of our strengths and of our areas that we need improvement and help with. We are continuing to expand a pilot program called City Design Project. This year we had it at Spricali and at Mosley. This is where we took city officials, professionals, and we had students design their own city. So they worked on city planning, transportation, construction, sustainable energy, and much more. And it was a really cool project with kids. So you'll see that expanded next year. And in wraparound services, my area, we developed some medical partnerships, behavioral health partnerships, partnerships for food stability and basic needs, workforce exploration, prevention programming, and resources. I'm happy to say we partnered with Tempe Fire, and I hope to partner with Tempe Police. We'll see how that goes. We increased efficiency, and we're looking forward to next year continuing to re-examine our current systems. We want to provide the best support to students so that they're academically strong, and we want to continue practices and programs that promote a positive school environment. I don't know if I'm supposed to ask, is there any questions or, okay, all right?
Yeah, you can ask that, but thank you so much for that presentation. TMPL is doing phenomenal things. I am so happy to partner and work with you on such a close level. I just want you to tell the committee just a little bit more about your position, because yours is very unique, and I want people to understand exactly what you do.
Well, I have the best job in the world. We'll just start with that. My whole job is to bring in services, experiences, or materials for students. So I find myself partnering with faith-based groups, businesses, city employees and programs, county, any entity, 501(c)(3)s, any entity that will provide a service material or an experience for students. So you can picture working with Tempe Fire. We brought 8th graders to go through the training center to see the workforce. We did that with construction industries. I work with food banks like United Food Bank to provide stability programs for kids. I work with 501(c)(3)s to provide substance abuse and other programs that will help students be healthy. A variety of things. It's just whatever I can bring to students, I will partner with you.
Perfect. Councilmember Keaton, do you have any questions for her?
I don't. Thank you very much for the presentation, and sounds like, well, I know you guys are doing good work there in TD3. So please keep it up, and I'm sure we'll be talking as the school year picks back up and moves along.
I hope so. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Okay, now I would like to move on to our third presentation, which will be made by Superintendent Laura Tennis of Kyrene School District. Superintendent Tennis will provide us with a brief recap of the 2022-2023 academic year for the school district. And she brought some friends.
I have some friends presenting with me today, so I'm actually going to let Miss Erin Helm kick us off.
Thank you so much for having us back to speak with you again. I'm actually going to kick us off. I'm the Executive Director of Communications for Kyrene. My name is Erin Helm, and I'm starting because in Kyrene, we like to lead with celebration. So we wanted to recap a few of our celebrations from the 22-23 school year. We had a lot, but in the interest of time, we're just going to share a few really big highlights with you. Kyrene School District this year received the prestigious Meritorious Budget Award from the Association of School Business Officials for transparency, accountability, and sound fiscal management. Kyrene was the only district in Arizona to receive the award this year, and actually the first in more than a decade in Arizona. 15 Kyrene teachers were recipients of City of Tempe Arts Grants, which of course directly benefit our students in arts and education. 4 Kyrene schools were awarded the Arizona Educational Foundation's A+ School of Excellence Award. This brings our total number of A+ schools in Kyrene to 12. 17 Kyrene schools were awarded the Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports Award for exemplary implementation of PBIS, which improves academic and behavioral outcomes for students. Kyrene led the way in Arizona this year, with our schools representing 25% of all of the schools that received the recognition this year. And finally, we are so proud that one of our Tempe teachers, Scott Harnish, a music teacher at Kyrene Del Norte Dual Language Academy, was selected as one of 5 finalists for the 2023 Arizona Teacher of the Year Award. This is the highest honor bestowed upon Arizona's public school teachers. So for him to receive top 5 status was a real point of pride for us this year. And with that, I'm really proud to turn it over to our Superintendent, Laura Tennis, and our Chief Financial Officer, Chris Herman.
Thank you, Erin. So we're going to jump back and forth just a little bit here, but I did want to just kind of share what we're setting up for success for this next year. A lot of this year we were spent getting ready for what's coming in the future. We launched our portrait of our Kyrene kid this year. It was the first time Kyrene has had a portrait. Many of you have heard Portrait of a Graduate. We only go to 8th grade, so it's our portrait of our Kyrene kid. We're really excited that a big first tri-district initiative in the last few years that kind of came to fruition around the 222 calendar, so we'll be launching that, which is putting us all under a little tight time crunch right now because we start school pretty quick. Teachers coming back. Spent a lot of time this year rethinking and really engaging in our superintendent outreach coming out of COVID and doing a lot of things virtually, getting to a lot more things back in person. And so we've been expanding our outreach through our building of our strategic plan. When I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more, we spoke with thousands of community members and we tried really hard to go to them and not just have them come to us. So we were out in the community meeting with the diverse community that we serve. The other thing that I'm really excited to share is our superintendent spotlight videos. If you ever get a chance to go watch those, they are on our website on my page. We take you inside in small snippets in different areas of our district. So you might see transportation, you might see intervention classes, and it's been a really fun way. We did 2 years of these series to really highlight what the district has going on in the district. And then this year we also did, brand new for us, our school showcase videos. So each of our schools now, if you go on their webpage, has a showcase video. The other big lift, getting ready for next year, which tomorrow night at our board meeting will be the final vote to transition. We are actually transitioning our district policy to the new trust policy. And we're just really excited because it had been time for a comprehensive review. It has really condensed the work we're doing, streamlined it, and really to make our employees' jobs much easier to implement policy when it's much more clear. So we're excited about that. And then the last two things, I'm going to hand this one over to Chris to talk about. Our governing board did call for a bond and district additional assistance election, so he's going to speak briefly about that, and then I'll just give you a little preview into our strategic plan.
Thank you, Laura. I think Aaron mentioned earlier that we received an award for all of our budget and finance work for our district, and we wanted to provide that link there. It's really a way for our communities to know whatever they would want to know about our financial positions, about our budget highlights, any and everything we're doing across the district. And so if you want to be involved and you want to know more, there's a link there for that. There's also a link for the election. Like Laura mentioned, that's a big area that our board took some action to vote for approving the election to come up in this November. So it'll be a big story with our upcoming school year as well. That'll happen in November. There's really two things that we're going to put on the ballot. One will be for a district additional assistance override, which is also known as capital funding for school districts. I know that's not always obvious, but that's what that relates to. And the second is for a reauthorization of a new bond. Those amounts that you see are higher than what they've been in previous years, and that's really because of what's happened to us on the area of inflation. And so anyone that's operating with especially public funds, we all know the costs have gone up astronomically in the last few years. That really gives us the same purchasing power that we had back in 2017. That's all we're asking for as far as those amounts. You can see some of the things listed here. In the interest of brevity, I won't cover all those things, but I will mention just one thing really quickly. In the last 7 years, Kyrene has spent about $27 million per year in total capital funds. That's our curriculum, that's our school facility work, that's all of our transportation areas, that's our technology. We receive and will receive about $7 million in public funding for capital for next year's budget. So my board asks all the time, what would that look like if we did not have bonds and overrides? And the reality is we just can't do the same kinds of things that we want to do for our communities without the support of our district and allowing us to have bonds and overrides passed. So we look forward to more of those conversations in the fall, and I'm going to pass it back over to Laura to finish.
Thank you. And I don't know if I said this is Mr. Chris Herman. He is our, soon-to-be associate superintendent, but over all of our operations of the district and our CFO. So we launched our strategic plan in our last board meeting. You're going to hear us using the words ready for the future and ready to thrive. And this year our board took the notion of a vision and mission and turned it into what we are calling the Kyrene Promise. And so you can really see there, it is about making sure that every student in our campuses are feeling honored, valued, and a strong sense of belonging and purpose, that our instruction is rigorous and responsive, and that students are given what they need to be able to develop the knowledge, skills, confidence, and passion for learning, and that all of our students leave us empowered and prepared to make a meaningful impact on a rapidly changing world. So we're very, very excited about this Kyrene Promise. With that, when you adopt a new strategic plan, we also look to what does that mean for our employees and how we do our business. And so we spent a lot of time working with the team to develop our new Kyrene key values. And so you can see those there. Again, I won't read them all to you, but it's about connections, compassion, courage, collaboration, and curiosity. And I gotta say, I'm really most excited about curiosity and having the courage to try some new things in the landscape of education. We took a lot of time having discussions around district goals, and we are holding ourselves very accountable to some real some metrics. And so you're going to see a big part of our strategic plan is around early literacy. And so that 85% represents that over the next 5 years, that 85% of our kinder through third grade are reading with proficiency based on our DIBELS assessment, knowing that about 15% may be an intervention or receiving some additional supports. Academic progress for us is about, we don't just look at proficiency, we look at proficiency growth and on track. And so again, this is at a 70% target. Sense of belonging, we found that our middle school students were struggling, and so we have a strong, some work going around what are we going to do specifically for our middle school students, specifically transitioning from 5th to 6th grade around sense of belonging. And equity is really a big bucket, but it's about that proportionality. And so we looked at our discipline data, our suspension data, our advanced coursework, and gifted identification, and we are looking to bring those more in alignment. We have 3 strategic imperatives that we've also reorganized our district office around, and we've done some shifting of seats, but it's really all about highly engaged people and culture, optimal operations and resources so that we can have future-ready schools. And so again, I won't read all these strategic initiatives to you. You can kind of get a feel, that's why we put it on here. But in the big bucket around schools, as I said, early literacy, early learning is going to be a huge push in Kyrene in the next 5 years. Social emotional wellness and this idea of whole learner. It's not just about the academics. We need to start doing a really good job of looking at that whole learner. The other in highly engaged people and culture that we're really focusing on is now that we have student portraits, we're building teacher and leader portraits as well. We're spending a lot of time in our employee wellness because we have found coming out of the pandemic that has been a high area of need, and in order to be able to retain our high quality staff. The other is starting to rethink how do we leverage our partners differently. And then the other 2 about innovative staffing models. We already have a school of the future, as we called it, our Manitas Innovation Academy, where actually you have 120 students in one room with a team of teachers around. And when I say one room, it's a huge room. And so looking at how do we start getting more innovative in our staffing models, because we know that the teachers aren't banging at our doors in education right now, and thinking about how do we become more modernized in our recruitment. And then the last one is just really thinking about what are our conditions that are in place that we're asking people to do things, how are we holding ourselves accountable through evaluation, and making sure that our resource allocation is equitable. So we're really excited. We took a little different approach in our strategic plan this year, in that we said, you know, many times you pull them out and they look the same year after year after year. And so we tried to really pull out things that set us apart, that make us look different from the work that we're doing. Our day-to-day work is going to keep on happening. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
I first want to say thank you. Oh, congratulations, Chris. The work, the reason, and this is the reason why I wanted Tempe Union, Kyrene, ASU, Rio Salada, all of our colleges here, because it really aligns on what we do in our next steps. So I just thank you so much. And I learn every time I go on your website and I look at everything, I learn so much more each time. You guys are pioneers. Tempe and Kyrene are doing phenomenal pioneer work to make sure that our K through 8th grade kids are going on the right path before they get to Tempe Union. And I just want to be, I'm just so happy and proud to say that. So my question is, you said that you're going into early learning. Is there any, do you need any piece of that from the city, or is that something that you guys going to do in-house?
I think right now we're kind of in that action planning stage for what that looks like. Our first step is we're going pretty big on getting all of our early learning teachers certified in early literacy. And so we are working on what's called letters training for the next 2 years. The state is making it a requirement, and we are committed to paying for it for all of our teachers. So we have stopped a whole lot of other work so that we can get that focused and get our teachers trained. So that's really been our first push. So we're really, when we get to that point, we will definitely reach out. I think it's going to require a lot of partners.
Yes.
And I think it's going to require some work up at our state legislators as well to talk about funding and what this looks like for early learning.
Well, you know you have a partner in me. I will definitely be there to help you fight and take that to the state legislators when it's time for it too. Also, and I'll be excited to hear, definitely keep us in the loop when you want to talk to the city of Tempe about it also too.
Thank you.
Well, I thank you so much. Councilmember Keaton, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions. I just really appreciate the presentation and obviously, the good work that you're doing. So please keep it up for our students, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is from Tempe Union. It doesn't look like Dr. Mendeville is here at this moment, so I apologize that he's not here, but I will get back to Tempe Union will come at a later time, and we will have that presentation again, I guess, later in the year. But thank you so much. And I thank both my Tempe elementary schools for doing so much phenomenal work. So, Doc, I see that Councilman Keating is back in, so he can take over the rest of the part of the meeting. So I will allow him to talk.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Hodge. I'd like to welcome Dr. James Runn from Arizona State University. Dr. Runn is a Senior Vice President for Educational Outreach and Student Services at Arizona State. And he, like the others, will briefly highlight and recap the 2022-23 academic year at ASU. Dr. Runn?
Councilmember Keating, Councilmember Hodge, pleasure to be with you today. Appreciate the invitation to be here to hear from my colleagues, extraordinary administrators who represent two high-performing school districts that I know the council, as well as the general citizenry of the city of Tempe, is proud of and grateful for, as is the university. A few comments on our work of the past year. First, the city's success is obviously so important to that of the institution. The university works in tandem with the city on so many fronts. I would need a much lengthier presentation to capture the full extent of that. With respect to the past year and the performance of the institution, it has been a record-setting year at Arizona State University in every way. Record-setting enrollment, both in size and in quality of the class and the diversity of the class. Record-setting fundraising, record-setting federally funded research, record-setting stature of our faculty, winning awards, national awards, and otherwise. So much to be proud of within the institution. But as you all know, we are a mission-driven organization. You're familiar with our charter, that we want to be measured by who we include, not who we exclude, and how our students succeed. Indeed, this past year, we produced 34,000 new graduates of Arizona State University. So with respect to our contribution to the workforce, is significant and growing and will be sustained. Last year's freshman class at the institution was a class of 15,000 first-year students. On our immersion sites. So those are not online ASU students. Those are 15,000 students spread among the four sites in Maricopa County. Of those, just under 9,000 from the state of Arizona. And of those 9,000 students, over 54% students of color, 40% from were Pell recipients. So we are drawing from the full demographic of the state of Arizona. Will continue in earnest that commitment. ongoing. We know that we are fundamentally a talent development organization. We also know that there is brilliance in every household in Arizona, and that our job is to find that talent and bring it through the pipeline, relying on, with the help and support of our colleagues in K through 12 education, bringing that talent to the institution and helping our young people realize their full potential, so that they're able to be full participants and contributors in a 21st century economy. The city has been so progressive in its economic development strategies. The evidence of that abounds. That only is of great benefit, not only to the citizens of Tempe, but to the citizens of the state of Arizona. And we at the university stand ready to support the ongoing efforts of the city in every way that we can, school by school, college by college, discipline by discipline, to help ensure that the workforce needs that that the city, that the county, that the state has are not only met but transcended in terms of opportunity. This is an exciting time, I think, in the life history of the state, and one that we look forward to continuing to work with our colleagues in city government and members of the community, certainly the mayor and the council principal among our support in that respect. I stand ready to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Runn. I don't have any questions, just a comment. I think you hit the nail on the head, and something I've been saying, for years, and I know that's how we all feel, is that Arizona State and the city of Tempe have a symbiotic relationship where, we both kind of, our successes and failures kind of are together. So anything we can do to increase our partnership and make sure that the relationship maintains productive and keep the communication lines open, I think is beneficial to both of our your institution and our city. So I appreciate you taking the time to come here and speak with us today. Councilmember Hodge.
Thank you so much. Actually, I just want to say thank you because you have been a partner to me from the beginning, because I have been with you talking through not just what's going on with ASU, but how we can encompass that in from the K through 12th grade. And you've been a great partner throughout my first year. So I'm actually coming up on my first year. So I'm excited to see how much more we can actually go. So let's definitely keep our conversations and our quarterly meetings and let's keep it going. And because the more kids that we get possible that are prepared to go to a university or to one of our junior colleges, are the best we can do for them. So thank you so much, and let's keep that partnership going.
Indeed. Thank you both.
Thank you very much. Next up, it's our final presentation from Rio Salado College. I'd like to welcome Dr. Kate Smith to our committee meeting. Dr. Smith began serving as Rio Salado College's 6th president on May 15th, 2021. And she will briefly highlight and recap the 2022-23 academic year at Rio Salado College. Dr. Smith.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Keating. Thank you, Councilmember Hodge. It's such a treat to be here. I'm sorry some of our friends across the district had to go already, but I just appreciate you being here, Dr. Roon. It's wonderful to see you as well. So Rio Salado College, 2022, 2023, it was another great year. We are fortunate to have our partners down the road at ASU. What I think I'll do first is share a little bit about our focus on Tempe. And so out of Tempe, our students from Tempe make up roughly 10% of the 34,000 students we serve as a college. And about 20% of the students that we serve make up our completers in our dual enrollment population. So this past year, we had 309 dual enrollment students. So what that means is students who are in high school who are completing a 2-year degree or a certificate of completion before they complete high school. It's incredibly impressive to the families in Tempe, to the leadership of Tempe. It's really amazing the difference that makes in their post-secondary career as well as their working careers for the rest of their life. The top 5 popular programs completed by Tempe residents, Tempe learners, were the Arizona General Education Certificate, a CCL in law enforcement training, and an Associate of Arts degree in law enforcement training, basic corrections, and in airlines operations. So interesting information for the city of Tempe. We're really excited that we serve residents from across all the different zip codes in Tempe. And interestingly, because there is also a strong dual presence in Tempe, the age range of Tempe residents we serve does skew younger than the general age range of our students, but again, that's just attributed to the very, very strong showing among the dual enrollment population. We also serve a number of Tempe residents through our adult basic education program. And so those are programs where we work to serve residents through our seeking their high school equivalency diploma or are seeking to increase their English language skills for the workforce. In addition to that focus, we're excited to announce the launch, not in competition with ASU by any means, of 2 bachelor degree programs. Okay, sorry. I was like, am I not supposed to say that? Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And so we'll be offering a bachelor's degree in elementary education with a dual certification in special education. So we'll be launching that this fall, as well as a bachelor's degree in the administration of justice. And we have a long history of work in those areas. And so we look forward to partnering with our elementary school districts across the city. We're also excited to announce that we are launching with the Tempe Chamber of Commerce the Workforce Skills Accelerator Program. And so with Amazon as a lead sponsor for the Tempe Chamber, we are putting out micro-credential pathways based on surveying that we did with businesses across the city of Tempe in terms of what are their needs, what gaps do they have in their workforce. And so we're starting with 3. We have many, many more micro-credentials that we've heard from businesses are of the most pressing needs for them and how we can support growing their workforce. And then we're hopeful, Marie Raymond is back there and she's been working right alongside us with, hopefully being able to launch a Tempe Promise program in the near future. And Tempe, as always, being incredibly innovative, working to achieve the 65. We're hoping that the funding will come through and that we can then continue to focus on that adult population that really rounds out all of the incredible work that the city of Tempe does in the education sector. So thank you so much. And with that, any questions? And it's great to see you. Just saying.
It's very great to see you.
I don't have any questions. Same type of comment. We appreciate your service to the city and our community, and obviously you're doing good work and still new in the role. I guess 2 years isn't really new, but I know you have done a lot of good work in your short time, so we do appreciate that. Councilmember Hodge?
Yeah, I have actually became to call this lady my friend. So I'm excited for all the work you do, and how you encompass. That's the same thing I say about ASU. You work very well with the K through 12th grade programs, and this is what actually helps us to strengthen our education and our workforce. So thank you so much for all the help that you give our school districts to make sure that our kids are prepared and no matter what field they go into. So I thank you for all that, and looking forward to talking to you more about some other programs. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. Really,
and lunch is on
appreciate
me. Remember that. We got to
You're
have lunch.
on. Thank you again.
All right, 1 second here. I'm trying to get my windows organized. Okay, let's see. That is all we have for presentations. So next we'll move to new items for consideration. Councilmember Hodge, do you have any future agenda items or items for consideration for our next meeting?
Yes, I do. We've been doing a business tour in our city, and I'm going to bring Colin Diaz, who's our Tempe Chambers, and our tour back over and have a update on it, so they can have a little, and bring some of the businesses in so they can have a conversation about it. I think it'll be great for them to come in directly to our committee.
Yeah, it sounds good. Let's make sure they connect with economic development staff and so they have everything they need. But yeah, no, that sounds great. I don't have any future agenda items at this time. Councilmember Hodge, do you have any announcements?
Yes, I do. I do. I have, I would like to introduce our new interim city manager, Miss Rosa Introwski. So would you like to please come up and say a quick introduction?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. As Councilmember Hodge mentioned, my name is Rosa Inchowski. I'm the interim city manager, and I've been with the city for 30 years, resident for 30 years, and this is a nice, great new opportunity to serve the people of this community in a different way. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I have one more announcement. I was going to announce Eric Iverson. He is our new director of sustainability, but he had to run out to a 1:00 meeting. So I just want to say congratulations and welcome. And to Tom and Keith, we love to see you back there. Thank you.
Congratulations to Eric and Rosa on their new positions. And Tom and Keith, I don't know why you're hanging out in our meetings. It's weird, but I'm glad you guys are participating. Obviously, I'm kidding. The only announcement that I have is I just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. Please have a safe 4th of July holiday. I hope you can join us at Tempe's Kiwanis's fireworks show, which will be at Tempe Diablo Stadium starting at 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. on July 4th. You can find more information about that fireworks show, which goes to benefit a great organization and the city, at kcot.org. That's City of Tempe Kiwanis, kcot.org. And you can get all the information you need there. But I know I'll be there, and I see that Councilmember Hodge is also RSVP'd to be there. So you'll get to hang out with us a little bit on the 4th if you'd like. So with that, Councilmember Hodge, we have hit adjournment. So I'd like to thank everyone who presented and listened to the Workforce Readiness and Livable Communities meeting. Our next meeting will be on August 28th, 2023. And with that, I move to adjourn the meeting.
And I second that, and everybody have a happy Pride Month also. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.